Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today, and I will be doing a deck review of the Nature Nurture Oracle by Marcella Kroll. This is another beautiful deck that I have had in my collection for many years and totally just love using with my clients, for myself, for my own kind of like journaling and personal growth. And so today I'm going to just show you why I love this deck so much. So as you can see, I have two versions of this deck. This is the OG indie print version from Marcella. And so this is a much smaller version of this deck. And there are some differences and we'll talk about it. But I wanted to show you both decks because it's just one that, again, I thought was super cute whenever she came out with it. I love this little small size. And if you have seen my Sacred Symbols Oracle review, you'll be familiar with kind of how she does her guidebooks. So this has like a little bit of information on each of the cards, what they mean, things like that. So I'm going to show you the cards. These little smaller ones are great if you're someone like me that has smaller hands, to just kind of, be able to shuffle and use this deck. I'm going to have to keep spinning it around and round. But it's very, like, her artwork just has a very unique style. And so you'll notice a lot of that similarity in this deck as well. And so I just feel like it's something that's a nice addition if you are looking to kind of add something else from her, from her work. Because I really just love the things that she puts together. I have a couple of her books as well. So I just think she's someone who's extremely talented, and I just have a lot of regard for her in my work and what I do. So these are beautiful little cards. And I'll show you kind of like what she changed when she did a more mass-produced version of the deck. So if you're someone that wants like a larger deck, the mass-produced version is great, and it's a slightly different quality of card. So it still has a guidebook. So this was done by Sterling Ethos, and so she went with a much larger size. So here we'll just kind of show you. I'm like, I saw it somewhere. I was going to show you the same card, so you can kind of see the differences. So here, same artwork. There are some differences. Obviously, number one is going to be the size of the card, and then kind of the colors with the artwork. It's like she went with a more like watercolor background for the cards, and then the artwork is just like an outline of it, which I think is great. I think it looks really good. And instead of having this kind of glossy finish, she went with a more matte kind of eggshell finish for the actual mass-produced version of her deck. There's also no edging like there may be on her personal collection, or not personal collection, her indie print version that has kind of the gilded edges. So I just think it's beautiful. It shuffles really well. I don't think that she changed how many cards are in here or the cards that she actually has in the deck. But the guidebook has a couple of additions. There's the artwork in there kind of scattered throughout, but it still has very similar information. So it just kind of gives you a little bit more to kind of lean into. It's slightly larger, so it's easier to read. But yeah, so this is one of those decks that I have used for many years in my practice, whether it was like this smaller version, and then whenever she made this larger version, it was like, oh, this is great. I can kind of use this. And I'm sure if you've watched some of the readings on my channel, you've probably seen me pull from this deck, because I just think that it has a really beautiful connection and a great way for us to kind of lean into different messages that you don't typically see in other oracle decks, which is a reason why I constantly kind of reach for the decks that she's put together, because they're just a little bit different. They're not like the typical, not to say like angel cards or anything are bad, but it's not just like that same kind of like everything is good kind of message. There's a little bit more of a depth to some of these cards that can allow you to kind of maybe connect to some harder lessons like challenges or, detox or, you know, like fear and like, kind of calling us out, especially if we're like not being authentic to ourselves. So I think it's a beautiful deck. If it's something that, you've been looking for more kind of indie produced decks that are a little bit not quite so mainstream, something that kind of stands out, but still is allowing you to really connect in new ways. This is one of those decks that I just really have enjoyed over the years, whether it's the smaller version or this larger version. I think that they have a very similar energy to the Sacred Symbols Oracle, which if you've seen me pull cards on this channel, more than likely you'll see me reach for some of her decks. I just really love them. There's some that I just feel are like kind of staples in my practice at this point. The Sacred Symbols Oracles, the Nature Nurture Oracle, like they just, they really are beautiful for our own personal development and also for me to kind of use as a means of pulling cards for my clients. So I'm going to just kind of show you how this shuffles. It's a much thicker stock than other card decks, but not super thick, and it does kind of hold a little bit of a bend. It's not anything too crazy. I like that the backs are reversible. I think I really love this little like spiral that she had on her indie print version, but I know that maybe that's not always something that an artist wants to continue doing. Sometimes, we shift and we change, and that's totally understandable. And I do like that she kind of went with like these soft kind of watercolory muted, but still very like, it almost feels like the colors are bright, but the tone is kind of turned down a little bit. So I do really like that kind of energy that she kind of went with the more mass-produced version of the decks. And I think it fits very well with her Sacred Symbols mass-produced versions of her deck. I think it goes very well. They pair very well, especially if you're someone like me that likes to use a lot of different oracle cards and oracle decks to kind of do readings. It's nice. There's like that punch of color to kind of add in if you're someone like me that really likes to have different things from different decks and kind of see how it all ties in together, because I like to use color theory as well in my readings. I think like that's always nice to have, using like color magic and kind of tuning into like the energies of colors as well. So let me know what you guys think of this deck. Is this a deck that you've heard of? Is this a deck that you already have in your collection and maybe really enjoy as well? If not, I hope that it is one that maybe you'll feel inclined to go check out. It is 45 cards. So if you're like wondering how many cards there are, I think this one is also 45 cards, if I'm not mistaken, the smaller version. But I think it's a beautiful deck, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I have over the years. So thank you so much for joining me. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.